Most of us have been emotionally conditioned to be a certain way. We have been through continuous mental rehearsals and circumstances that appeared in our life to feel, think, and act a certain way. And what happened each time we thought, felt, and acted a certain way was we reinforced the same neural pathways in our brains that made these pathways into what we call our personality, which in turn became our personal reality. In this episode, I'm going to show you how you can liberate yourself from what you think cannot be changed and manifest what you want in your life. And with the eclipse season that we have now in July and the energy of that, which is very, very potent, you can use this time and do some purging. Let go of what doesn't serve you so you can make space for the new things that you want to bring into your life. The most limiting view that I've ever come across on this human plane we live in is that people can change. We hear it all the time though, constantly. It's been repeated so often that it started becoming the truth for 99% of us. I used to subscribe to that notion. People don't change, it's genetic predisposition, you carry your character from birth, people never change in a fundamental way, all total and utter crap. How do I know this? Well, evidence from neuroscience, for one, that's expanding our knowledge of what is possible. And also, I'm a walking, talking example of the notion that people can indeed change if they practice a new self in the right way. Also, epigenetics is now teaching us that we can signal new genes in new ways, and the genes are actually altered by external environment and not just by our fixed DNA sequence. There's an amazing book by Dr. Joe Dispenza titled Breaking the Habit of Being Yourself. And before you go on an ego trip and mentally start telling yourself, why would I want to change myself? This is who I am, and so on and so forth. Please understand that this is not, in fact, who you are. Who you think you are, this personality that you think of as yourself, is the sum total of your social conditioning. In other words, the programming that you receive from parents, teachers, peers, and various authority figures that you have come across. That has become your subconscious mind. And the subconscious makes itself known through the body. So the question that might arise, what if that programming is self-sabotaging, self-limiting, and self-destructive in some cases? And how come when I recognize it and try to talk to myself and change something about it, it still doesn't work? Well, that's actually pretty simple. This is because you're not ruled by reason, what we call the conscious mind. You are ruled by the subconscious mind that's responsible for 95% of your daily cognitive functioning. Logic, your conscious mind, is only responsible for 5. What chance does that stand against the 95? So what the body or the subconscious is going to do is it's going to fiercely try and protect what it knows. So it's going to tell you things like, no, I'd rather hang on to my guilt than take a chance and go into the unknown when there is no guilt. Or no, I'd rather live in fear than take a step into territory that I haven't explored yet. It's even going to tell you, no, I'd rather still carry this disease that I know rather than learn a new way to exist in health without it. So once the body or the subconscious gets uncomfortable, once it contemplates the possibility of getting out of its comfort zone, it's going to send out an SOS signal. It's going to tell you, whoa, you're stepping outside the program. You're entering a danger zone. Come back right now. You see, the subconscious sees any change as a threat. So it's going to tell you things like, I can start tomorrow, I don't have time for this, change is too hard, I don't have the money for this, what if I fail, my parents told me this, I'm not good enough. It's going to say, it's not that bad after all, I'm going to stick to the known, and so on. And then you're going to have the same thought, and the same thought is going to produce the same action, and the same action is going to produce the same experience, and the same experience is going to produce the same emotion. And whether that emotion is good or bad, you're going to say, okay, this feels right. No, no, this doesn't feel right. This feels familiar. There's a huge difference. Your subconscious is fucking with you. Actually, it's trying to keep you safe from what it doesn't know. Because guilt, shame, fear, inferiority, low self-worth are familiar territory. Love, trust, expansion, and change is unknown territory, and unknown is simply labeled as bad. I'll give you an example. When I wanted to start this YouTube channel, I made this decision, right? And I really, really wanted to do this. I feel like it was a way for me to express myself, to expand my creativity, if you will. But what started happening is I started telling myself, no, you can't do this. You don't have the right camera. I bought the right camera. No, you can't do this. You don't have the right lighting. I bought the right lighting. Then I told myself, no, you cannot do this because you don't have this, you don't have that. And I keep buying things and buying things and buying things, and I was still not doing it. And then another type of resistance started popping up. When I actually sat in front of the camera and started recording, I didn't like anything. I didn't like my voice. I didn't like my manner. I didn't like the way I looked. I didn't like my makeup. I didn't like this. I didn't like that. All resistance. All resistance. I actually had to force myself to sit down and start recording. And once I got through that initial wave of resistance that was coming up, it started feeling effortless. It was actually a form of extreme reactivity. My subconscious programming was trying to prevent me from something unknown and keep me in the known. What I knew was my 9-to-5 job, that I had to go to work hard, then come back home and do whatever I do when I come back in the afternoon. And it didn't want me to expand and do this. So it was fighting me tooth and nail. And I literally had to gag it in certain moments in order to push through and do the thing I wanted. However, when you manage this, it's so liberating, and you're expanded into this new perspective that's so much wider than before. You see things differently. You start perceiving more and more things. You start awakening even more and more. People are kept in the known ways of being, what they're used to. That's why you will find some people that are actually addicted to negative emotions. You know people like this. Do you think that they want to be negative all the time? Do they like worrying? No. But this is what they know. It feels safe to them. It feels familiar. Positive emotions are the unknown, so they're perceived as a threat. What the brain perceives as, if I take a step into the unknown and start feeling positive, then I might not recognize a threat that's coming my way. This is actually the primal part of the brain reacting to a possible survival threat that actually has not been real for thousands and thousands of years. There's no predator that's going to pounce on you. However, that's how the human mental physical structure still works. And unless we start perceiving that, it's going to be hard for you to change. I've said this before, and I'm going to say it again. The subconscious mind is responsible for your addiction. The subconscious mind is potentially responsible for your inability to lose unwanted weight. The subconscious mind is responsible for unexplained infertility. The subconscious mind is responsible for your inability to feel joy consistently and for your constant worrying. Your subconscious mind is controlling your conscious mind. All the chatter that you constantly hear in your mind throughout the day, that's called basically the default mode. That's the name for it. What's important is you can shut that off. They have measured these brain waves. They have measured them on an EEG during meditation. And they also measured how the default mode, that voice that goes, no, you can't do this, you're too tired, you're too old, you're too weak, I'll put this off till tomorrow, there's no escape, That voice can be shut off even when you're not meditating. So by turning off that voice, you're signaling new genes in new ways. You're signaling new pathways in your brain. You're becoming someone else. You're deprogramming all of your subconscious programming. It's not going to miraculously happen. You have to do the work. So one of the ways that you can start observing those programs is meditation, of course. If you start exploring that, you can start doing some meditation every day. Don't start in a big way. Don't go for 20 minutes like people say. Go for 5 minutes. 5 minutes every day for 1 week, and then you can take it from that. You can do things like join one of the Vipassana meditation courses, which was what I did. They are characterized as a mental surgery for the mind. You basically do a silent meditation retreat where you meditate for 10 days, 11 hours every day. And you're supposed to observe noble silence, and that does wonders for you realizing your subconscious programming. Alternatively, you can read one of Joe Dispenza's books. He has a special process. It's a meditation that targets all this programming. You actually start with an induction, which is what we have on this channel. You can look for it. It's a hypnotic induction. That's what it's called, which takes you to the theta brain state. What this induction does is it activates your frontal lobe, right? This is going to put you in the theta wave, and it's going to make your mind very receptive to change and new programming. These are all some suggestions. By becoming aware of who you are, basically, and by becoming aware you're ruled by the subconscious mind is step 1. Understanding the process that I have described in this video is very important. Number 2 is making a decision that you actively want to change something. After that, start keeping a small, emphasis on the small, promise to yourself every day. This will build your willpower, and it will develop your trust muscle so you know the change is indeed possible. One small promise to yourself every day, very important. I know that's a lot to process. You might be feeling resistance to this. It's very normal, actually. You might be telling yourself, I can change. I'm not capable of this. Or you might be telling yourself, I don't want to change. This is understandable. Every time I tried to develop a new habit in the past, I had tremendous resistance from my subconscious. Allow yourself to just see the resistance at this point. The path will show itself to you. Nobody said this was easy. This work is difficult. It's not easy at all. It is life-changing. It cannot be easy. So if you commit to it, however, you will come out the other side with a freedom you've never known before. I'm sending you love. May you be happy, peaceful, liberated.